Tonight at 9:30 PM GMT over on the Omegon Plays channel and on Twitch, I shall be streaming some American Truck Simulator. The intention is to continue exploring New Mexico, maybe moving on to Vegas, who knows. I know that's Nevada, doesn't matter. Link to the Twitch channel and my Omegon Plays channel down below. Now the subject we're going to talk about today is not going to be about the mother who wrote the word pervert onto a boy's head. I was linked to this article, but at this present time, the details surrounding that particular case are vague, and I'm unwilling to commit to it until I know more about why the mother wrote the word pervert on his head. There are some details, just not enough for me to commit. Instead, we're going to talk about knife crime. It's cropped up a number of times. Last year was a horrific year for knife crime in the United Kingdom. I believe records were set for the number of people killed courtesy of rather pesky blades. The UK's way of dealing with this was to, quote, correctly introduce some very strict laws, making it increasingly more difficult for people to obtain sharp objects, to the point where people were being arrested for carrying a potato peeler in what was described as a menacing manner, to the point where age limits had to be increased and cutlery had to be placed behind lock and key. This all seemed a bit much, and the real problem here was, while you were clamping down on the general populace from owning something that could cut one of their rubber stakes, you were encouraging people to carry knives anyway, because you were not dealing with the reason why they carried the blade to begin with. Now there is context. One of the most well-known incidents involved a boy with a zombie blade running up to a car and smashing it into the window, but he didn't break the window because he didn't actually hit it with the blade, he hit it with the butt of the weapon. He was arrested, and in context, we are able to best understand that he was held hostage by the very people in that car and forced to make and sell drugs. Once the police arrested him, he gave up valuable information that put a lot of people away. Now yes, I do think he should still be punished, but what he did took a lot of people that were very bad off the streets, and so compromise has to be agreed upon. Another very well-known incident involved the murder of a military man who was hacked to pieces by someone with a machete. Now machetes aren't very common, and many refuse to talk about the reasons why that man did what he did, because he did in fact say why he killed him, why he killed the soldier, but people refuse to talk about it. In a similar sense, why people refuse to accept Islamic extremism may have had a part to play in the Sri Lankan massacre of Christians, not Easter celebrators. Dear God. There are many incidents involving knives, and the videos are easily accessible on YouTube. I will link a number of them down below, if I remember to, because I seem to have forgotten recently to link sources. I do apologise for that. Last year, knife crime was shown to be on the rise. Hundreds killed unnecessarily because of it, and we'll get to reasons and solutions later. But 2019 has not been much better. We are already in April, and over 20 have been confirmed dead and over 100 harmed. To me, this proves the situation is getting worse. There are a number of people who have made suggestions, some recommending even tighter rules on knives to the point where people may not be able to own a knife. I'm not in favour of this, because as it has been shown and proven, the stricter you get on something, the more people will get it. People will always find a way around it. Look at Venezuela. It doesn't want its people to eat. So what do the people do? They find a black market, because they will always exist. I think they trade in head lice and teeth. Good currency. Degrades a little though. Do I need my sarcasm sign for that seriously? The point is, it has been shown also in the States, and this is where the point really comes in, where the states with the most lax gun control law and knife law have the lowest knife crime, gun crime, and the strictest have the worst. Now, of course, many factors play into that. Demographics, of course, state of living, cost of living, opportunity, and of course, social cohesion. That is a key factor, one we must accept as a problem. If people segregate themselves for whatever reason, let's say they segregate into gangs, let's call it that, and these gangs decide they want to control things, going against the rule of law, not because they're a gang, but because of their activities, to engage in activities that are illegal and based on the number of knives that are being seized and those being arrested and those unfortunate people being murdered, harmful. Naturally, with things like this, there is a blame game. I don't care for blame games. The current mayor of London, I'm not blaming him, but Sadiq Khan blames austerity. I personally don't think he should be focusing on blame. I think he should take what he has available, the powers he has, the money he has. If he can't get the money, perhaps try and raise it with fundraisers, if he doesn't already, which I believe he does, but he's not as successful as he could be yet. I have a little faith he might be able to do more in time. I think he might also, though, simultaneously be waiting for the next general election, where it is likely Jeremy Corbyn will win. And that means one thing: the wallet gets opened and the money is thrown until it sticks. The problem with that is, as many of us know, if you just throw money at something, you don't solve the problem. You just show you think the solution is to throw money at it. It's like somebody who sits in an exam. They follow a formula to get a result, because they know that result is all that matters. But because they don't understand it, they've learnt nothing. All they've learnt is to basically take the easy way out. Understanding shows the ability to adapt, change, and possibly improve. I'm all for that. Hopefully, in time, Sadiq Khan will, instead of blaming austerity or potentially waiting for a Labour government, start doing more fundraisers to try and fund community centres, because that has obviously taken a hit during austerity. I have mentioned it on a number of occasions. I do believe, given enough time and patience, this can be reduced. The knife crime problem, many are calling it an epidemic. I don't really want to call it that. Let's call it the problem, because it is a growing problem, and it is so sad to see so many poor people being dragged into something, some being hacked apart with a freaking axe. And for what reason? Who knows? Shiggles, perhaps? I really don't understand it. Austerity takes a blame because it is a problem. While I earlier mentioned you can't just throw money at something to solve the problem, you cannot simply take all the money away and expect the problem to be as less bad as it was. Because with those community centres being shut down, those kids who would ordinarily go there to avoid the gangs, or falling in with them, run the risk of falling in with them. I do think perhaps an evolution needs to take place, though. I myself spend a lot of time on social media. Maybe not on Twitter. I mean, I put the occasional shitpost out there, maybe a picture or two. But with society changing the way it has, perhaps it would be a good idea to start encouraging more children who have access to social media, not Twitter, perhaps Discord servers for those community centres, where they can then talk to those people in voice chats and text chats and just feel comfortable with the people they were once able to hang out with. That might be an option. I'm not much of a problem solver, but I have realised the benefit of having a Discord server. It's a great way for me to connect with those that support me, and that is very important. But it's also enabled me to make friends, which is very, very important for somebody like me. Not focusing on me, though, for today. Prince Charles, the environmentalist and humanitarian, thinks that we need to punish those who break the law, but also learn to forgive. And I can get the sentiment behind what he thinks, but it is a remarkably naive position to hold. And back to austerity, to those who keep railing on it, please understand, we all knew it had to happen because of the irresponsible financial situation we were in back in 2010. It was unbearably difficult. I suffered long enough, 5 years unemployment because of that austerity, and I knew it. I accepted it, and I moved on, placing the blame of what everyone had to endure because of austerity, and saying the rich were let off with tax breaks, even though more tax was collected because less people were inclined to move their services and their companies abroad, shows how retarded you are. The 50p tax rate failed because people did not want to be in this country anymore. More loopholes than ever have been shut down, preventing people from declaring themselves as living in the Cayman Islands, or having an acting company that operates in Jersey. I'm not a big fan of tax havens, but your cows are okay, so you can stay for now. And your potatoes are quite good too. Better than the Irish. Fuck you. I don't care for the blame game, to summarise. Conclude, perhaps. I think by doing that, you're not looking for a real solution. With knife crime as bad as it is, there is a trend. It does indicate gangs. Those gangs started growing because of austerity. The gangs already existed. They just got bigger because more people felt they were unable to succeed, or were not given a fair chance. Those same people need to be shown that there is a fair chance, and be shown that hard work truly has a reward for it. You don't do that, though, by introducing tax rates that make it so that people who are in gangs and realise that by working they'll have to pay more tax to fund nationalised services. No, you also don't do it by forcing them. You do it by encouraging them, showing them a better path. For example, apprenticeships. They are on the rise, and I am 100% in support of these, because they are on-the-job training with a considerable number of apprenticeships having a guaranteed job at the end of them. That opens a door. Now, some people will look for the easy way out because they like their Nike Air Maxes, their Soverings, and their snapbacks. People still wear snapbacks? Let's say that. But hopefully with a bit of patience, one can show someone who is involved in these particular groups that has fallen prey to getting involved in knife crime, that there is a better option for them. Maybe it is a bit like forgiveness. I consider it offering them a last chance, because once certain lines are crossed, it no longer matters. You are a criminal. Yes, rehabilitation should be options available to you, but that's not my problem really, is it? I do think with the blame game taking centre stage, we take away from what is important. That is helping those who are disadvantaged regardless of ethnic background. Poverty knows no race. Yes, there is a prevalence to one race, and obviously that then one race being more involved in gangs, being arrested in knife-related crimes. However, I do believe politicians should spend less time focusing on austerity and focusing on that as the blame, and instead being more proactive to offset it. Offset the losses by being more involved in fundraisers. I know there are many available and going on. I get it. But then you make do with what you can get. That's what you do. You don't look to blame, because that doesn't solve a problem. It just shows you're a bit weak. Anyway, if I don't see you tonight over on the Omegon Plays channel or on Twitch, I hope you all have a lovely day, and thank you all for listening.